start with the next topic, that is payload installation and utilization. So when we say payload installation means what payload? What payload are we talking? Are we aware of what type of payloads we can attach to the drone?
In case of agriculture, it's fertilizer.
So in case of agriculture drone, it is a tank,
Yeah,
fertilizer tank or a seeding tank, or it could be a camera also for crop monitoring also, or crop assessment also. So it could be a camera, RGB camera, it could be a thermal camera, it could be a LiDAR, it could be multispectral, it could be a hyperspectral camera also in agriculture. Even I have seen there people are using a small drone which makes a different type of noise. Okay, they have put some kind of a speaker buzzer on the drone itself, and they will fly that drone to just drive away the birds. They eat the grains and all the things from the crop. So just to drive away those from, they will fly the drone with some kind of a buzzer. It gives a very weird noise, and that basically is not good for the birds. Especially the sparrows, crows, or whatever the birds normally attack or eat the crop in your field. So you will normally put that on the drone, and it will start that, what is that called, squeezing kind of a noise it will create. Okay, which is not good. Basically birds don't like it and they fly away from that location. Okay, so such applications you can think, those anything can be payload. Like during the pandemic, just to make an announcement, they have connected a PA system to the drone. So you fly the drone, and that drone will have a speaker system, and the superintendent or the police who is in charge of that, he will make an announcement and making sure that people stay indoors during the pandemic situation. Even during the pandemic, we have seen drone has been used for delivering the what is that, precautionary medical kits and all that things, or maybe fast kit or whatever that kits was required during that point in time. Even those were distributed or given using drones. Okay. In case of surveillance drones, it could be a camera. Okay, it could be a RGB camera, or a specialized cameras would be available. Those will be there, or maybe a thermal camera, or maybe LiDAR, or maybe hyperspectral, multispectral cameras can be connected to the drones. So payload, will see basics of payloads, types of payloads, and payload applications. Okay, so if you see the payloads, the definition of the payload is the weight a drone or remotely piloted vehicle can carry, or unmanned aerial vehicle can carry. So it is an additional weight compared to the drone weight. Okay, it is usually counted outside the weight of the drone itself. That's why when we are defining the class, we are not actually defining the drone weight. It is the total weight. That's why it is called as MTOW, maximum takeoff weight. So when we are talking about MTOW, we are talking about drone weight plus the payload weight. Okay, whereas the drone weight is just an independent weight. It's just a normal vehicle weight. Okay, it is usually counted outside of the weight of the drone itself, and includes anything additional to the drone, such as cameras, sensors, or package for delivery. Okay, anything can be considered as a payload. Like as I told you, even in a drone taxi, the passengers are not the pilots. Okay, passengers are being treated as additional weight. Okay, they are like payloads. Okay, they are considered as a payload. Okay, they are not considered as a pilot or humans who can manage the drones. Okay, so normally you will consider them as a dead persons kind of thing. Like they will normally be considered as just like a payload. Okay, so they may able to give you support, or they may not support in handling the drone in case of emergency. Okay, so it is basically the payload. It is usually counted outside of the weight of the drone itself, and includes anything additional to the drone, such as camera, sensors, package for delivery. All that can be considered as payload. So if you see in the picture, you can see at the belly of the Predator drone, there is a big huge camera sensors is there. So these are very high-end sensitive cameras are there, okay, or it could be also a parcel, okay, a package for delivery kind of thing. You can see a medical package has been delivered using this zipline drones, okay. This is also possible as a payload. So what is gimbal? Normally gimbal is used to stabilize the camera payloads that have been mounted on the drones and other autonomous vehicle such as UGVs. The gimbal integrates an IMU that responds to the motion and provides inputs to a controller that activates separate motor to keep the payload steady on each axis. So basically, if you try to connect a camera directly to the drone, so what will happen? It will be a fixed camera. Okay, you cannot change the direction of the camera. It will be very difficult to take the footages when you attach directly a camera to the body of the drone. Okay, so that vibrations will be there. You will normally encounter a blurry photographs, or shaky videos will be there. So all that vibration will go into that thing. So to dampen out that vibrations and all the thing, you will normally use a gimbal which will have a stabilization feature built into it. Plus it will be having 2-axis or 3-axis movement. Okay, so your camera can move in 3 directions. Okay, so it depending upon what gimbal you are using, it is the 2-axis or 3-axis. Depending on that, your camera can move up, down, left, right, or it can go in all the 3-axis directions. Okay, so this, how does it gets the signal on stability? It receives the signals with the IMU from the drone. Okay, so there is a connector which connects the gimbal to the flight controller. So from where it gets the signal, and it stabilizes the gimbal when you are taking a videograph or a photographs, videos or photographs you are capturing. Okay, so there are multiple types of electro-optics payloads. Okay, it could be RGB camera, it could be thermal camera, it could be LiDAR, it could be multispectral, or it could be hyperspectral cameras also. So all of these are electro-optics payload. Okay, so what is RGB camera? It's a drone RGB. Human eye is sensitive to red, green and blue band of lights. So whatever we see in a form of red, green and blue. Okay, so the most standard drones comes with a camera that captures the same RGB bands. So images they produce recreates almost exactly what our eyes sees. Okay, so the pictures what we see digitally captured by the RGB camera is exactly the same thing what our eyes is able to see. That's why we can resemble, or we can see that the same picture is been generated on the digital screen. Okay, so a drone RGB is a camera. You can see your entire field in one place by processing aerial imagery into an orthomasic map. So to create an orthomasic map, you need to have a software. Photogrammetry software is required, and that software basically converts your normal RGB camera into orthomasic maps, which gives you a complete picture on the status. If you see the picture, there will be a normal picture which will be not so helpful to understand, or which will not give a perspective whether a particular crop is in good state or not. Okay, so immediately I will know where my field is getting damaged, or where my field is getting more damage, or from where the damage is started, and all the things I will come to know when I generate a orthomasic map using RGB cameras. A normal RGB image will not be very helpful in analyzing or detecting any kind of issue in my crops. Okay, so there I had to use some third-party software to analyze and give me the result and tell me where my crop is bad. Okay, so RGB camera is sensor that collects the visible light in 400 to 700 nanometers and converts that to an electrical signal, then organize that information to render the images and video streams. So if you see you have captured the image, you can capture the image and convert them into mineralization, seed rate, soil organic matter, denitrification zone. I mean, how much is the nitrogen component is there, or how is the soil health of your field, or you can get what seed rate you have been pushing, or what is the mineralization or minerals available into my crop or the land and all that thing. So that will I come to know by using RGB cameras. Okay, so software stabilization of the video stream. So a lot of time when we are using the RGB cameras, we need like when we are doing a videography or thing, we need to lock the drone on a particular subject. Okay, so that stabilization locking of the object in the field of view of your drone camera needs to be defined. So you need to have, nowadays the cameras are become also smarter ones. Okay, so they looking at the image itself, it receives the signal and it gives the signal back to the drone gimbal, and the gimbal will give that signal back to the drone itself, and then they will be in sync when there's the shot is being prepared or shot is being taken at that point in time. So at that point in time, when I'm flying the drone, it will track that particular object. Okay, so object tracking is possible, and gimbal helps to steer it smoothly. Okay, to that particular object. Okay, so it could be even the object is moving or aircraft platform is moving. It doesn't matter for that point in time. Okay. Uh, Applications of RGB sensors could be like traffic monitoring, crowd monitoring. Can you give an example of traffic monitoring where the drone was used in recent times? Any idea? Any idea where this crowd monitoring we have done using drone?
Cricket match.
Cricket match or any events, right? Classic example is at Kumbh Mela, right? You must have heard there was a company by name IG Drones, which was given a contract by the government of India to keep flying the drones and monitor the crowd using drones. So that was one of the classic example where they have used drones specifically for doing a crowd monitoring, okay, or tracking the movements of vehicles also. So complete Kumbh Mela, Prayagraj was monitored, even whatever the ground crew or people were available, stations were built and all that things, but still even drone was employed or deployed that point in time, flying continuously whenever what required, so that you are completely in control of the crowd and the situation over there. Okay, so a lot of time we see this kind of like cricket matches also, we have seen football matches also, it has been used. Any even events, sports events where you have more people, more number of people are there, so that location you normally nowadays not only the ground monitoring is happening, but even monitoring from the drone is being used over there. Similarly, you can do a traffic monitoring also using the RGB sensors. You can track the cars, you can chase the cars, you can find out the cars, so it can actually read the vehicle type and all that info. So your cameras, RGB cameras in the mobile are also becoming very, very smart day by day, and they have been added with more functionality so that they serve the purpose what you intend to achieve from the RGB cameras. Okay. Again, disaster management drone can be used for fire detection, intervention monitoring, and also for post-fire monitoring. Border security. In recent times, we have seen during the war, like it's very difficult to monitor the border because your check post is almost 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers away from the border. Okay, or your military bases are also almost 25 kilometers away from the actual border. Okay, so there is a border, then there is something called as a no man's land, and then there will be a border on other side of the country. Okay, so that's how actually the border area has been defined. So to maintain or to manage or track any activity near the border, it is very difficult. So you can't have a post near close to the border itself. Your border will be always away from your post. So your post maybe 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers, or even 10 kilometers away from the location. So this post definition is normally defined based on the country to country and the location to location. Okay, but you can always deploy the drones at this location rather sending a person and monitoring. So you can remotely nowadays monitor your complete ground, complete border by just sending one single drone over that area to give you an idea that in case anybody has crossed the intruders or the people have crossed the border, your drone can track and find out easily. Okay, so what are the other applications of the RGB sensors? It is basically for the aerial surveillance. It can be fall detections, ultrasonic inspections for the windmills, power line towers, all that thing. So use of unmanned and are increasingly completely because of automation drone inspections. Okay, that has already caused a huge waves in asset management sector. So if you see whether it is telecom towers, whether it is a power line towers, or maybe windmills, solar panels, all these things are been now being used by the drone to do the inspections or surveillance of these devices. It is not practically possible for the keeping somebody keep on continuously monitoring, watching, or giving surveillance activity to this kind of devices. So drone is very useful device in this kind of scenarios. Even in the container ship also, right? Container ships are so huge. It is very difficult for the people who are on board the ship go and keep on monitoring each and every corner of the container ship. So nowadays, even they are like, there was one student who has come, who was actually was in a merchant navy. He was actually a captain. Okay, so he has come last to last batch to learn the flying the drone. So the main his agenda was to use the drone so that he can fly those drones when he was taking his ship from one location to another location. He doesn't have to rely on the person, so that he can always take the footage by flying the drone and see that everything is good and safe during the course of his flight, not flight, travel. Okay, so what are applications? Solar farms, wind farms, railways, bridge inspection, power lines, mobile phone towers, oil and gas, water pipes, building and constructions. All these segments will definitely require drones to be used. Earlier, traditionally, you are doing using humans and all the thing, but then that was actually considered to be a new way of doing things. Okay, so even mobile phone towers, oil and gas, water pipes. Okay, like I'll give you one example on water pipe inspections. Okay, how drone has helped it immensely. Okay, in the next payload topic. Okay, so you can use RGB sensors for mapping, also 2D mapping, 3D mapping, where you use orthomorphic maps to be generated and gives you similar functionality like what you have in Google Maps. Okay, so application again, mining, erosion detection, boundary management, project progress monitoring is also being used. So in real estate, normally just to give an update to the stakeholders or to the customers or maybe the people who venture capitalists, all those people needs the status of their money where they have invested into the projects. Okay, so they need project progress monitoring to be submitted regularly over the period of time, like maybe 1 month or 2 months or 3 months time. They would definitely require progress. So drone is becoming a very helpful and supportive for these kind of people who use drones for project progress monitoring also. Okay, so next topic is about the thermal camera. Thermographic camera or infrared camera detects infrared or heat invisible to human eye. Okay, so thermal camera can see those things which a normal RGB camera cannot see. Okay, I will give a very classic example about the use case of the thermal camera. Okay, last year when we were actually flying or doing some inspection over what is that called, water line pipes. Okay, I have added one slide also to give you an example of that in the last slide. So a thermal imager is also known as thermal camera, is essentially a heat sensor that is capable of detecting tiny differences in temperature. The device collects the infrared radiation from the object in the scene and creates an electronic image. So it generates that image based on the temperature differences. Okay, and it gives you the information. So you know where the temperature is high, where is the temperature is low, and based on this image. So this is actually a thermal image. Okay, so it may looks like you can see a person standing here, you can see something on the ground which is more temperature difference is there, whereas blue is less hotter compared to this area. Okay, that is how you sense. Okay, so that temperature differences it is collecting and it is creating the image over there. Okay, so originally, basically, this was developed for surveillance and military operations. So thermal cameras were initially used in surveillance and military operations, but now they are widely used in building inspections. Building inspections in form of moisture, insulation, or roofing, etc. Firefighting, autonomous vehicle and automatic braking, skin temperature monitoring during the pandemic or COVID area times. During that time, we have seen that these thermal cameras were extensively used on the airports or sensitive buildings or restricted buildings locations also. Okay, so this thermal camera used to give them the without touching the person, you used to get the temperature of the person. Even in industrial inspections also, solar panel inspection, extensively thermal cameras are being used in solar panel inspections. Then power line inspection, pipeline inspection, wildlife monitoring. I gave you example, right? One of the students of the last batch, he is correct today now. He's going to Tanzania. Okay, for doing wildlife monitoring activity over there. So they are using thermal camera. The DJI 330T is the camera, is the drone which has built-in thermal payload attached to it along with the RGB. Okay. So application of thermal building inspection, as we said, moisture and insulation. You can see wherever it is green, you do not have worry. Wherever it is red, that could be a problematic issues or there. Or maybe blue area might be a moisture or issues in the uh, locations. So you may have to see accordingly. So whatever has been defined or how do you interpret the thermal images, accordingly it will help you to understand where the issue is. Okay. So where the moisture is there, or where you require insulation, or where you have issues on the roofing. Even lot of time on the top floor, in the top floor inside you see leakage happening from the roof. So you can find out the source. Like you just looking at the ceiling from the flat, you will see there is a water coming from one particular location, but the source may be at different location. So you do not know where to fix this leakages happening on the roof. So this thermal cameras has been very effective. So you can find the actual source of the leakage happening, or from where the water is coming inside the roof. So you can really get the real input, and you can take action according to it, the images what you capture using the thermal cameras. Okay, firefighting. During the firefighting also you can use the thermal payload, so that you can effectively see the source where you need to control the fire. Okay, that is also where can be done using thermal payloads. Autonomous vehicle and automatic braking also. So there also you can use thermal, so that you can monitor the vehicles, and you can probably stop the intruders or the people which is not visible for your normal viewership also, or view which is not available. Skin temperature I talked about during the COVID times. Before actually touching, or earlier we used to measure the temperature normally using the thermometers or digital thermometer something, but here without touching the body or the subject, we can get the skin temperature of the person. So that is one of the again application of the thermal payload. Industrial inspections also there, where we can use thermal cameras to get the health of the infrastructure, like in refineries or big farm plants, like pharmaceutical plants. All those locations you can use thermal payload to do the inspections of your plants. Okay, solar panel is extensively used by the thermal cameras to check whether your solar panels are in good health or good shape, so that they can give you better performance and give better power ratio over here. Power line inspection, I told you, right? Normally when the power is transmitted through the wires, these wires normally get heated up. Okay, so normally you do not know, in a normal RGB camera it will look like just a line or a dark area, but when you take the same image in the thermal payload, you will come to know the performance of the wire, whether it is really getting heated when the power is getting transmitted. So actually when we were doing one of the project for power line tower, We did this analysis and we saw that out of couple of wires, there was one wire which was hitting too much. Okay, later on when we submitted that report to the power board, they did the further analysis and later on they came to know that that particular wire which was used, which was hitting too much, was actually a low grade wire. That's why it was giving that much heat signatures. Okay, so they immediately contacted the vendor who has fitted that wire or connected that wire and asked them to change to the approved or required grade of wire. And once that wire was connected or that change was done, we did again the thermal analysis and we saw that it is the same type of inputs what we are getting earlier where we are getting for other wires. Okay, so that's how we understood that by looking at the thermal images of the wire, we can understand what type of wire is there and how much heating it is happening when the power is been transmitted on the those wires. Okay, that is about thermal payload. Then there is something called LiDAR. Okay, so LiDAR is nothing but light detection and ranging sensor. Okay, so it basically sends the laser pulses on the ground and it receives back the signal. So that's how it measures the variable distance from the ground with respect to the sensor. Okay, so it's basically a what is called a remote sensing sensor. It is okay. So LiDAR drones are any drone. So normally there are specific drones which are made along with the LiDAR sensors only. Okay, so you get a drone specific to LiDAR payload only. So there are, because LiDAR are very what we say, first of all they are very expensive sensors or very expensive devices, and they are not a modular kind. A lot of time the LiDAR sensor is fixed to the drone itself. So you will get a drone along with the LiDAR itself, or you may also get a separate LiDAR devices where you can fit it to your drone also. That is also possible. But most of the time, since when you are going for a LiDAR, basically you will go with a drone which is available with built-in LiDAR itself. Okay, so for example, like I think even DJI 3S has come with the LiDAR sensor built in itself. Okay, so that you can use for collecting data used to make detailed 3D models for variety of applications and industries. So you can use it LiDAR sensors in your agriculture or in geographical situations or geographical earth monitoring, or even where you have lot of irrigation or all those things are happening, especially areas where there is a mining happening. So in those scenarios you will normally use the LiDAR. So to know how much mining or excavation is happening at those locations, all the things to check, you will always fly the LiDAR drones. Okay, so application of LiDAR sensors can be, which stands for light detection ranging, is remote sensing technology that uses laser beam to get the information about the surrounding objects. Okay, so basically scientists have used LiDAR to map the earth's surface, acquire meteorological data. So you normally see most of the time LiDAR sensor drones are being used in agriculture and forest. Okay, to inspect the vegetation such as leaves and crops. Also the above ground imagery, for example forest canopy can be removed to view the ground surface area. So all that information you can see using the LiDAR sensor. Okay, so these basically are being used by the government bodies, or because LiDAR itself will cost you around 7 to 8 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees of device, and then again the cost of the drone will be around same range. So the LiDAR sensor drones are very expensive drones, so they go into the range of maybe 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs also sometimes. So they are very expensive device as of now. Okay, after that you have an application. Yes, Arthur, yes.
But sir, the DJI 3S is not that expensive.
But that LiDAR is also not that such a great. Okay,
Yes.
it's not that the what actual real big LiDAR gives you. Okay, it's just a small basic LiDAR it has. Okay, it is just 1.5 lakh rupees of that drone, but it is not that great. Okay, it's just they have introduced, so maybe they in future drones they will have a better LiDAR and all that things available for you. Okay, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Understood.
Okay, so now application of the drones, like agriculture's drones can help farmers to optimize the use of inputs, seed, fertilizer, water. So if you use extensively drone from your day-to-day requirement, it can give you a more better inputs. Okay, you can react more quickly to the threats like weed, pest, or fungi to save the time from crop scouting, validate the treatment action taken, to improve the variable rate prescription in real time, and estimate the yield from a field. So basically, the more and more you do your crop precision agriculture, what we call, if you use more and more drones, you can always have a better crop. You can control your crops from getting damaged due to the pest or due to the weeds or the fungi or any other issues what you normally happen in traditional farming. Okay, so precision farming using drone has always immensely helped and always given you a better result. Okay, your yield is always improved, or you will able to see that you get better return of your investment by using drones. So like for example, even spraying the pesticide, traditionally when you are spraying the pesticide in your field for 1 acre land, it is a very tedious task. You have to find a person who can do that spraying activity. Okay, that will cost you around, for a 5 days it will cost you around, a person takes around 500 rupees per day a wage. So he will charge you for 5 days, so it will be around 2500. You will require 200 liters of water, you will require 20 liters of fertilizer, and after that 1 or 2 days, that person who is doing that activity, he will vanish. Okay, he will not be available, you have to go and search for him again. Then you find out that he is not keeping well because that pesticide has impacted him, his health. That pesticide what he was spraying, that has gone in his ear, in his ear nose, in his eyes, and he has fallen sick. He may say, okay, I'll come after 2 days. Then again your activity is stopped. Okay, so again you have to resume after 2 days. So it is a very lengthy process, very challenging process for farmers. But using the drone, you just require 10 minutes of time. Okay, so 1 acre can be done, which was traditionally done earlier in 3 to 5 days. Using the drone, you can do it just 8 to 10 minutes. So how much saving you are doing it? So you just have to pay 500 rupees per acre to the drone pilot, and he will spray the fertilizer on your 1 acre land. Okay, so the pilot doesn't go inside the crop, so he is remotely flying the drone, so he will not be get affected by the fertilizer. He will just fill the tank with the fertilizer. He will make the layout on his drone, and he will fly the drone according to the layout and do that activity within 8 to 10 minutes. Maximum 15 to 20 minutes he will take, because he may have to get the drone ready, he may have to put the fertilizer, he may have to set the battery and all the things, he may have to set up the layout of the farm and all the things. So overall it may take, for 1 acre it may take 20 minutes max, which was initially taking 3 to 5 days, costing you 2500 rupees on the labor. Again, if you see, using the drone, you are only utilizing 20 liters of water against 200 liters of water. Okay, there we are using 20 liters of fertilizer, here you only have to use 2 liter of fertilizer. Okay, so again huge saving is there by using a drone for agriculture, precision agriculture activity. Okay, again there are other applications, like as I showed, drone application for light shows. This is also one of the additional new feature has come using the drones. You are flying multiple drones and you can create some kind of a story, okay, or a scenario, so that you can entertain people during the sessions. Like it could be a marriage event, or it could be an event like cricket, or some kind of inauguration event you are doing it, or maybe during the Diwali, or during the festival seasons, or even during the New Year time also. This type of drone light shows are being organized. Okay, you can see them. Lot of them are available on YouTube. Okay, there was a light show done in China, light show done in Singapore, Hong Kong, UAE. Different location. Even in India, multiple places. Even during Ram Mandir temple inauguration, also on that night, also there was a light show organized in Ayodhya. Okay, so you can see those light shows on YouTube. Okay, so with that, so this is just the last image. Actually, here actually we was ending our topic, but this last session I have added this one particular image just to showcase a thermal use case. Okay, so this is a pipe. Actually, this is just a pipe. If I take a normal RGB image of this pipe, I can see only the structure of the pipe from the outside. I can see the pipe in a very good condition, but I cannot see where my pipe is in difficult situation or damaged conditions. So when I take an image of a thermal sensing, I can see those red spots. Those are rusting happening inside the pipe. From outside, I can't see any rusting happening because the water is flowing inside the pipe. I can see wherever the rusting is happening or where my pipe is getting damaged. I can see those red spots. Okay, that is how I know that in near future the pipe is going to get burst at that particular locations. So you can see big water pipelines. You lot of time you heard in the news that X location like Ghatpopar area or any Powai location or wherever it location. You will see news that the wire the pipeline got burst. Okay, why this happens? Because there is a water flow inside continuously, and because of the water, the pipe get corrosive get from inside over the period of time, and slowly that corrosive becomes big and big and big, and one day it bursts. Okay, so these are those points which is not visible from the outside, not visible to your normal RGB images. But if you take the thermal images of that pipe, you will come to know where your pipeline is at a issue situations or difficult situation, which is going to cause a major problem or outages at that point in time. Okay, so this is how you know, and then you can immediately take a downtime and take a corrective measures for this. So they will normally stop the water flow. They may, if there is some position, they can change this particular segment of the pipe. They will change it. Okay, so that may be just a 1 or 2 hours of activity. Okay, they can plan this activity, but imagine if there is a leakage or bursting. What will happen when the bursting happens? They will not know immediately. Okay, for 1 day or 2 days, because until sometimes it is visible or located near the people area, then people will know it. If it is somewhere in a very remote area where it is not visible, they will not know. So they later on they will find out that people who are supposed to receive the water, they are not receiving appropriate water. So they will find out, and then they will come to know, okay, there is some leakage is happening at particular location. That's why the less water is saying. So they then have to stop. Then they again, by that time, till the time they stop, the water will be, there will be a lot of loss of water and all that things. So that is a huge loss from a revenue perspective, from the loss of resources on all that things. And again, if you have to stop and take the corrective action and do the necessary control for the outages over here or loss of water over here. Okay, so if you do a proactive monitoring using the thermal cameras, you can avoid such a big loss or issues. Okay, that is what I want to talk about from this example. Okay, you got an idea how the thermal cameras are useful compared to RGB. So RGB will also give you some perspective, but thermal will add on to your understanding or interpretation of your image, right?
So,
Any questions you have? Or
No,
with
sir.
that we complete the payload installation and utilization topic. Okay, so we are only left with two topics. One is the payload, drone data analysis, and uh, digital sky platform. Okay, so we'll take a 15 minutes break, and then we'll come back at 4:15 and complete the topic. So we may complete today a topic max by 5:30 itself. Okay, we have left with one topic, that is introduction to drone data analysis, and then we just have to run through you. I have to run through you the digital sky platform. Okay. Any questions you have, or we're good to go for a break?
Good to go, sir.
Okay. I'll just, and we'll connect at 4:15.